We heard this week that the CEO of Nasdaq came out and said that they are moving to blockchain rails, but what needs to happen before we actually get there, and what cryptocurrencies will be used for settlement? I have all of the answers, how all of this fits in, all of the connections. If you watch this video, you're going to know everything. Let's go ahead and get into this. This is so awesome. We are finally getting to the place that we've known we were coming to for years. You know, when you just can see something, you've done all the research, you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and you just need time to catch up to you. That's what we're experiencing right here. Let's go. All right. Let's get it. Nasdaq makes push to launch trading tokenized securities. Nate Garossi posted a bunch of documents here. They need to update the actual infrastructure and the laws around this to include the tokenization. So I included some of these published documents. These screenshots show the Nasdaq Stock Exchange is preparing for the tokenization of assets, allowing securities, stocks, ETFs to be traded in tokenized form alongside traditional shares. Here is a breakdown of what it means, the potential implications for blockchain infrastructure here in the United States. Tokenized assets preparations. Nasdaq is proposing a rule change with the SEC to allow trading of equities and its electronically traded products in tokenized form, meaning digital representations of stocks or ETFs could exist on a blockchain similar infrastructure. No blockchain requirement yet. The proposal allows for two formats: traditional without blockchain and tokenized, which may use blockchain for settlement, That is the key word there. That's the most important word. Both could exist on the same order book and trade by the same rules. So this is the legacy system side by side with the new blockchain rails and settlement layer of the stock exchange, which is going to be through the DTCC, the DTC, but I'll explain that in just a second. Equal rights. Tokenized shares will provide shareholders with the same rights and privileges of those with traditional shares, trading, priority, voting, dividends, etc., as long as they are fully fungible and properly match QSIP. Remember this word QSIP? Larry Fink kept mentioning QSIP. We're gonna have the same, you're gonna have the QSIP, and we're gonna know who owns what and what you're voting right and all this stuff. It's all going to be transparent, bringing some of these more shadier markets to the light, and we're gonna be able to find out what is going on, where all this money is going. Current system. Now, this is where it gets very, very juicy. And here is this is like all the money, baby. Uses DTCC. So the current system uses the DTC. For now, the clearing and settlement process described still leverages the depository trust company, part of the existing US market infrastructure, showing that the transition is likely a hybrid step rather than a sudden move. Now, getting into this, the DTCC, which you've heard so much about on this channel, the DTCC is a core clearinghouse for the US securities industry, processing trillions of dollars in settlement in securities transactions daily and acting as the backbone and traditional equity and bond and ETF flows. Recent developments reveal direct connections between the DTCC, Ripple, and XRP, especially following the DTCC's acquisition of Security, leading infrastructure integration into digital assets. What is the DTCC? The DTCC automates, centralizes, and secures post-trade processes for equities and other asset classes globally. Subsidiaries like the NSCC and the DTC facilitate securities clearing, settlement, custody, and tax services. The DTCC's role is to reduce counterparty and systemic risk to financial markets, ensuring reliable settlement, and act as a central point for post-trade innovation, including DLT adoption for settlement and speed and transparency. The DTCC's blockchain adoption. The DTCC has launched multiple initiatives: the Digital Launchpad, Collateral App Chain, ongoing DLT pilot programs to support asset tokenization, distributed ledger integration, and digital settlement rails for securities, funds, and collateral. Proof of the concepts involve tokenizing assets such as money market funds and private funds, demonstrating blockchain interoperability and efficiency improvements in institutional settlement. Now, let's get into some more connections, because that's what we're all here for. In 2023, the DTCC acquired Security, a blockchain infrastructure provider whose network connects XRP and XLM and other digital assets to the DTCC's settlement ecosystem. Right? We heard that they're going to be using settlement, right? I don't know where it is in here, but it said settlement, right? Blockchain for settlement And we know what the assets are going to be that are connected into the DTCC for settlement. It's not going to be Bitcoin, right? All right. This acquisition has made Ripple, XRP, and Stellar official part of the DTCC's infrastructure, allowing them access to institutional flows and settlement of the backbone of trillions of dollars in securities trades. On-chain patents published in collaboration report show DTCC named it in a patent, XRP and XLM, as part of their system for tokenized liquidity. I wish I could take this mic off and drop it on my desk. Everybody that says XRP this, XRP that, read it in black and white, son. Read it in black and white. With integration enabling institutional payments and real-time settlements using XRP, the developments are not just experimental. XRP now have the potential use cases in actual movement and settlement of institutional assets. Boom. Transitioning from beyond mere speculative cryptocurrencies into recognized elements of financial infrastructure. Yes! The inclusion of XRP within DTCC's settlement network offers major implications for institutional liquidity, collateral management, and long-term legitimacy of XRP in mainstream finance. Investors and the broader crypto market have responded positively, viewing this as awesome, awesome, awesome. But I wanted to get into another thing here. Where did I put that? Hold on. Here you go. Showing more connections between Security and Ripple, right? We know that DTCC acquired Security. Security is a blockchain technology firm specializing in the tokenization infrastructure, compliance, aware token frameworks, and interoperability between financial systems. While Security's most publicized integrations are with institutional players like the DTCC and Stellar, there are notable indirect and ecosystem level connections with Ripple and XRP. Security's activity in the digital asset ecosystem. Security's core products enable tokenization of asset cross-chain settlement, including compliance, features, and regulated financial markets. This technology is now owned and operated under DTCC Digital Assets as of 2023 acquisition. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. We know this.
And, this guy sells it to that guy. That's essentially, what the stock exchange does. So if you can have a common ledger to be able to exchange those IOUs at, then that certainly makes sense. And there's examples of Korean banks partnering with local Bitcoin companies for the settlement. People like the IMF or World Bank or these kind of people are always talking about these sort of blockchain settlement systems. Nasdaq is involved in I think doing some trials with Ripple as well. So
listen, guys, if you are learning, if you are growing on this channel, let me get a like. I normally don't ask you for it in the middle of the video, but I feel like this is some juicy information and I would love a little bit of love in return. I would appreciate you. I'd love to see this get to like 5,000 likes. I think we can do it if I get some of your help. We'll see though. Here is Ripple Swell event talking about 1 billion tokenized money market funds. Let me go ahead and play this. ARCX, Arbinin.
ARCX is a regulated custodian in the UK, and so if you can imagine anything we can hold, we can create a token representing that asset. We started our partnership with Aberdeen Asset Management. They invested in us in 2022, so we tokenized their money market fund shortly after investing, and it's one of the live funds we have on our platform today. Across our platform, we have around 120 funds available from some of the leading asset managers. So we really have got a number of funds available across the spectrum of investment strategies. We think every asset is going to be on chain in the future, and we hope to work with Ripple to get them on XRPL.
We believe every asset will be on chain in the future, and we need to work really hard with Ripple to get that on the XRP ledger.
Currently supports close to 20 different blockchains, but we're seeing interest from our customers in supporting more. So we will be adding more blockchains to the product in 2025. And finally, we'll be adding an integration with staking platforms so that customers who have assets sitting in the custody product will be able to earn yield on those rather than having them just sit there idly.
So Ripple not only is working here with Nasdaq, the government, the DTCC, or XRP settlement, but you're also having them working on staking, custody, and every other solution under the sun, stable coins, to bring this all together. You need all of these things to come together to form a mega infrastructure, which Ripple and XRP, Stellar, Chainlink, these guys will all be the infrastructure layer for all this. Wisdom Tree announced that stablecoins sparked it. Now tokenized stocks and funds are bringing standards, scale, and real institutional adoption to real-world assets. We're proud to join Ondo Finance Global Markets Alliance to help move the industry forward. Big big deal. There's also, this additional thing with Chainalysis and the XRP ledger, including IOUs, NFTs, and other multi-purpose tokens, marks a critical development for institutional adoption on the XRP ledger. So they're adding all of these different compliance and tools and features that institutions are definitely going to want to hold on to. I did a whole video on this. If you're interested, just look back maybe 3 or 4 days ago. Tokenized treasuries go live on the XRP ledger with Auto Finance. OUSG unlocks institutional access with seamless mint and redemptions via XRP RLUSD stablecoin. Remember, the US is going to be bringing their financial system onto blockchain. Part of these trials and tests that I think, right, these are showing the US government that, hey, we can do this live on the XRP ledger. This is American infrastructure. This is an American blockchain infrastructure company. Remember, you have Ethereum, it's from Switzerland. We don't know where Bitcoin was created, right? So what you want to use, when you're talking about the DTCC, that is an American infrastructure. They're not going to use a token that is from Singapore or wherever else in the world. It needs to be US based, okay? And then you start to look at, remember these photos where you're talking about bringing the derivatives on chain and what this could do to the price? This is the value that we're talking about coming. Commodities, bonds, government bonds, bank notes, derivatives. This is all value that can come onto the XRP ledger. Verson said it best, Nasdaq just filed with the SEC to tokenize every stock by 2026. All tokenized assets will eventually route and settle through XRP as a bridge currency. Now, I don't know if all settlement will happen through the XRP ledger. I would love that, right? But I think it's a little early to say that it will all settle. Just want to throw that out there. We did see this too. Fidelity, FDIT versus BlackRock's Bildel versus JP Morgan's JP. Who leads the race of tokenized treasuries? So the biggest financial institutions in the entire world are now racing each other for the technology. But what I want you to understand here, some of these banks have not started their crypto infrastructure journey yet because they're not the Fidelities and the JP Morgans of the world. They're these mid-sized banks that didn't know which way the wind was going to blow when it came to crypto, and they didn't want to invest a ton of money into infrastructure until they got the clear rules of the road and the regulators were on board. Now you have all that, and banks have to catch up. The only way banks are going to be able to catch up is if they, one, get their together right now and go out and spend the next 1 to 2 years in development, building, testing, sandboxing, piloting, bringing partnerships on. That is going to be a lot of work. Or you could pick up the phone right now and call Ripple and say, hey, I need some infrastructure. Ripple will say, we'll be right over. How long is this going to take us to get up and running? How complicated is it? Usually it takes 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months compared to 1 to 2 years. 1 to 2 years is the fast scale. 4 to 5 years on a slower end curve if the bank doesn't know what they're doing. This is why Ripple, Circle, the infrastructure layer of the entire financial market is coming home to roost, baby. And we are positioned so well to take advantage of that. We see into the future. We know what's going to happen. Now, let's just have a little bit of fun when it does. I'll see you next time. Let's go.
I have just built a course for beginners, intermediaries, and experts of XRP to better understand the XRP ledger and Ripple, the company. If you're interested in getting that course absolutely free, there's a link down in the description. Please let me know what you think after you've taken the course. Aloha.